Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flizanes, your empowerment strategist, producer, and winemaker. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about the impact of knowing your four characters. And I've got on some of my favorite peeps who have been in the community now for a little while. They've done some programs and their lives have changed. And I want to share that with you. And I want to talk about this idea of these characters because if you haven't heard already, I've decided to do Awaken Your Dream Life once again, virtually in January. And we're going to talk about that. And one of the things that came up between this recording and the webinar that I presented last week, What Blocks Your Brilliance, was that some of the things that block your brilliance are physical in nature. And one of the things that we did not do at Awaken Your Dream Life in person was address the physical piece, was address gut issues and inflammation and weight loss and hormonal balance and adrenal fatigue and self-care and all the things that contribute to the way your brain operates. So I wanted to make sure that you all knew that Awaken Your Dream Life 2024 in January is going to be so different in so many ways. And the first way is that one of the things we're going to keep you accountable for from January 13th until the 31st through many methodologies, very high touch, super supportive in a very new way for many of you, like I've never done before for a group like this. You're going to get support not only in implementing the information about the four characters and making those behavioral changes during the month that we're together, you're also going to get support on those physical issues because it's January. And who doesn't want to refocus on and clean up their diet and their exercise and do all of that? But the difference is that not only are we going to look at what you're doing, but why you do it or why you don't do it. And that has everything to do with the four characters. So if you're someone that's kind of gone off and kind of gone on the whole self-care thing in January or always, and you can't kind of get consistent, now you're going to understand why. Because we're going to apply your four different characters to the self-care conversation so you can start to understand what works for you and why what hasn't worked hasn't worked. And today I'm publishing this episode a day earlier than normal for the reason that tomorrow, October 31st, is the last day that you can get a ticket to Awaken Your Dream Life Virtual on a 5-pay plan. I wanted to make this as easy as possible for all of you to join us with no excuse because it's a 5-pay plan on a pretty small ticket. I also wanted to tell you that I'm not increasing the price. I was originally going to do this early bird price and then up the price another $200. And it is worth way more than another $200. But then I kind of rethought it because it's a new structure. It's a new way of delivering it. I have no doubt it will be extremely impactful, but I just really want you to be there because this opportunity may not happen again, that I do an event like this with this structure, with this kind of extra support that you get through Marco Polo and having small group coaching throughout the entire month, every day if you need it. So please consider buying your ticket. If you need a payment plan, it is a 5-pay plan that ends tomorrow. jjflizanes.com/dreamlife. I hope you're inspired by today because today is going to be amazing. Some of the people in this group have literally changed their lives 180 degrees since they came to Awaken Your Dream Life last year. And I can't wait to share it with you. And I know you're going to be inspired. Please go to jjflizanes.com/dreamlife and join us in January. Let's start 2024 together in a new way. Welcome, everyone, to today's show. I'm excited to bring you some of my favorite peeps. They've been in my groups. They've been in my community. And today we're going to share some of the lessons learned and the impact made from understanding the four characters of your brain. So let's start off with, I want them to introduce themselves. They'll tell you a little bit about who they are, what they do, when they got here to me and through what channel, so to speak, and where you are in the world would be great. So let's start with Wendy.
Well, my name is Wendy Patterson. I have been with JJ since, I believe, late 2018, and then 2019, I've been with her since. I live in Gatineau, Quebec, Canada, and I have become a coach because of JJ's influence and my own unearthing of my own desires and passion in life. And I've been doing this for, I think, 2 years now, and I'm loving every minute of it. And yeah,
Awesome.
that's it.
And at the end of the show, I'll make sure you guys can all plug anything you're doing, any of your websites, whatever you want to talk about there. So thanks, Wendy. Patty.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Patty Woods. I think I found JJ in 2020 and then right away signed up for a program and then signed up for another program. And I've done 2 live events and I'm getting ready to do another project. And so, yeah, I guess what else? I've been training to be a coach and doing some other things at the same time. So I'm looking forward to really kicking that in full gear.
Excellent. And did you both, Wendy and Patty, come through Spirit, Purpose, and Energy?
Yes.
Okay. Some people don't. They don't start there. It's always good for me to know and people to hear because the show will obviously air on more than one channel and more than one show. So other shows do have listeners, but just not quite as strong as Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. So, all right. Thanks, Patty. Patrick.
Hey everybody, I'm Patrick Casey. I found JJ last year, about this time last year. I was introduced to JJ's material through my girlfriend Caitlin, who has been following JJ for I think about three plus years, somewhere around there. And so I was introduced to JJ last year, and I completed a 6-month deep dive course with JJ and about 4 or 5 other people. About I think in June we finished. And I work as a nurse practitioner. I have my own little primary care practice down here in Jupiter, Florida. And I also work in substance abuse, in detoxes and rehabilitation treatment centers for substance abuse. And I am looking into doing some coaching as well. I do want to look into being able to help some people more with what's going on, rather than, prescribing them all these medications that I really don't believe in, but almost kind of forced to have to do in the meantime. So I'm looking forward to being able to help some people in a different capacity.
Awesome. And that you will do that you have been doing, even just with what you're doing now and the little small changes you've been doing. So I can't wait to share more about that. Vesta.
Hi, I'm Vesta. I have been with JJ since the beginning of last year. I found her through another podcast. She did a webinar that I listened to, the talk therapy webinar. That was a free thing, and it lured me right in. And I kind of dove in with 2 feet, and here we are. So we did the Empowerment Strategist course last year. I'm in the mastermind this year. I work in a cath lab, but I travel. So I'm in Hawaii right now, but I live in West Virginia, but I'm from Pennsylvania. That's always the thing where I live. Yeah. So what am I doing now? I am working on a podcast called Open Heart Healing. Hopefully that'll come out really soon. And yeah, there will be more.
There will be more. She ran a summit this year called The Power of Choosing You.
Yeah.
You can learn more about that at thepowerofchoosingyou.com. So, or Power Choose You Summit, which we'll say again at the end if I'm wrong. And it'll be in the show notes, so it doesn't matter. So I have to tell everybody who's listening, I asked everybody in this group, well, in a membership group, I said, who would be willing to come talk about what they learned or how their lives have changed since attending the 2022 Awaken Your Dream Life live event. By now, you probably have heard I am going to be doing another Awaken Your Dream Life event. It's happening in January. It's a virtual event. Hopefully that makes it easier for more people to attend. And you'll get to keep all of the materials forever. So you're going to get last year's event plus this year's live event. The format is new. And I really wanted to speak to people who had been to an event before and then Patrick, I think you even said it. I think that's why I asked you. You said life is so different since Awaken Your Dream Life. And I was like, well, geez, come please tell us how life is so different since Awaken Your Dream Life, because it was literally 1 year ago as of the recording of this podcast. And that was music to my ears. And I wanted you to share that with people who are listening and some of the things that you guys took away from it. Patty, I remember when you and Ned left, and you can even tell that story, that Ned, because you and Ned were in the mastermind last year along with Wendy, and Ned had already done 2 retreats with the mastermind and thought, well, why am I going to this? Like, didn't we already do this? Like, how's this going to be this different? And you're like, trust me, it's different. And he, hemmed and hawed. And then of course, after he came, you guys talked the entire drive home about what you had learned and sort of implementing that into your life. So actually, why don't we start with Patty? Because I'd love you to sort of share that the resistance and then into, and you can talk about what he said. I know he's going to tell me in written form what he learned, but from your point of view about him, and then also from you.
Okay. Well, and we've been talking about it the last couple of days too, so that's good. But we, on our drive home, it was what, 7.5 hours or something, and we stopped for dinner, and I think we were talking about it the whole time. And part of it is that I am strongly in two of the characters, and he's strongly in the other two, like kind of opposites, maybe the opposites attract thing. So he's more super structured, organized, and he's very he's a worrier, and he has this like you have to work hard to press through, like you have to kind of suffer to be a success. And I'm kind of like, oh no, no, you pray about it, you meditate, you go out. And I mean, one of the things we started doing is we always go out and watch the sunrise, and it's kind of that grounding time and setting the day. And then for his part of it, after we do that, we started working out. So we have the big garage door open, and I struggle in consistency. I struggle in organization. I'm more in that character 3 and 4 all the time. And so, yeah, he was saying he needs to let go of some of that, and I need to adopt some of the other. So it was this whole balance, and us talking about how it's good because we bring those things out in each other, but recognizing it and understanding it was huge, and probably the conversation and understanding which ways and how we can help each other bring those other sides into balance.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most exciting pieces for me, was to watch everyone sort of not, when you think about behavioral change, we don't necessarily compartmentalize different parts of who we are. We might, but it isn't as clearly defined as this whole brain living concept and these characters. When you can actually see that these are all different parts of you, and they all are valid, useful, needed, important parts, but they're very, very different. So to bring up the characters and to look at it that way, I think really gave people some permission to let go of shame, and that they're not doing X, Y, Z, or maybe in the looking at Ned's case, looking at why I need the other 3. Like for him as a structure guy, and now I've learned that I have 4 different parts of my brain, and I now recognize I'm only using 2 of them. Now I have more valid reason and motivation to activate the other 2. But if you tell somebody who's living in one of them, oh, but you need the other, they may have judgment. They may have opinions. They may have bad experiences. They may have things that they see in other people they don't like, and they automatically assume, well, that's bad. But it isn't bad. It's, they each have a role. Every part of the brain has a role in the completion and balance of manifestation and living your life and getting to your goals. And so I think having that structure of these 4 characters really helped people, give them permission to work on or accept certain parts of themselves. And then to, for me, it's like playing. And I love to be able to differentiate who's needed, whose voice is needed, whose voices am I listening to, and who do I need more of and who do I need less of. So I think that's great. So in terms of what has changed for you since Awaken Your Dream Life, now I haven't really worked with you and Ned all year long. So what could you tell me that you said you needed more structure and he needed more flow and play. Have you guys been more consistent? Has life changed at all since Awaken Your Dream Life?
Yes, I actually took on, and I did it 10 years ago, but this time I just planned my 40th reunion, which is our 40th reunion. Ned and I went to high school together. So last time I did it, there was a partner that I was working with, and we did everything together, and it was kind of fun. And this year she had to bow out because of some family health issues. And I was a little bit like, oh, this isn't really my thing. I don't think I should do it. And then I just did it, and I pushed through, and there was a committee, but nobody was really involved in the contracts and the negotiating. That was all me. So it was good for me to put that hat on, because I haven't had it on in a while. I did it while I was working a few years back, and when they sold the company, I moved on. But it was was a challenge, but it was also a stretching for me to take that all on and do it. And it just happened a couple weeks ago and it's over and I'm relieved, but it's not my thing to be that organized on a budget person all the time. And I did that. So that was huge for me because that was, I mean, nearly a year of planning and organizing, and to have it all come together was nice. And then, like I said, Ned and I've just been trying to, even if it's when he gets home from work, take the boat and go to the lake. We're kind of close to a lake and we go by and we just will sit out in the middle of the water and have a quiet, debriefing kind of for the day and relaxing and appreciating the outdoors. And just for him kind of saying yes to fun more, because he can talk himself out of it pretty easily and force himself to work through those times. And then for me, being consistent, keeping a pattern, organizing our food plan, organizing our workouts, those kind of things. We've been pretty consistent about that. So it's been good. And then also understanding each other and talking about those things. And when you were just saying about not like having not shame for me, but my parents are both that total character ones, and my mom's a 1 too. So for me, it's something I've kind of pushed away because I don't want to be worrying and I don't want to be structured all the time. I'm more loose and I push that away. And now I've kind of accepted, no, it's okay. It's okay to have that part of me and to blend it in with everything else. I need more of it. And so I've introduced more of that and enjoyed it. Felt
Also
more
sounds
balanced.
like you could use a couple new models for that too.
Yeah.
Think of me.
Yes.
Don't think of me. So I told Krista with selling things, right? Because when you have an idea of a model of something you don't like, then you lump everybody into that category and you go, no, I don't want that. But that's like, that ends up shooting yourself in the foot. That's a sabotage that we do to ourselves because we think it means something that it doesn't mean.
Right.
So, but we recognize that this structure of this whole brain of these 4 characters, they're all necessary. They're all needed. The balance depends on who you are, where you are, and what you want. And you can decide in any moment to change that balance, but it's understanding that and then having sort of more awareness and conscious control instead of feeling like I remember in this last Rewire program, in the first one, actually the beta program, somebody, and I did not introduce this concept to that group. So if you guys are listening, I hope you all attend Awaken Your Dream Life Virtual, because I wanted them to, like when someone has like a negative voice in their head, they think it's an all or nothing. Oh, I'm not there yet because I had this negative thought. I'm like, no, the negative thought is there for a reason. And it's going to always be there in some way, shape or form. And so it's making peace with it, understanding it and not letting it out of hand, but accepting and understand its role is a lot healthier than thinking it's an all or nothing. There's not one switch that we're all going to become either constantly one way or constantly another way. So, but I think this information gives us a platform and a structure to work with to make choices about. So thank you for that. And then thank Ned, of course. Wendy, talk to us about your experience at Awaken Your Dream Life in terms of characters and what did you learn there that you think has carried out and made an influence over your last year?
I think it was playing more and having more fun. I really recognized that after going through a divorce and pulling my own socks up and becoming, I was being the mother and the father and so many times with my kids. And then I forgot how to have fun. And it was... And the event actually just pulled me more and more and more out of my shell. The first one was a huge step for me. The second one was even another huge step for me. But when it came down to those characters, and I flip-flop from a lot of them, but for having fun, that one was the one that came out. And I truly understood where I was and how I was doing it. It's just putting a whole lot of pressure on, and finding that balance between all the characters is interesting. I would have really liked I should have and could have pulled out that document so I could have looked at it to kind of really recognize where I am today. However, I do know that I am somewhat balanced, yet I think that play still has to come in. I have to remind myself to play often because I've always been so, I think it's 1 and 2 in that area. And the play was just so like not there.
Low. So low.
Very
So
low.
right, non-existent. Well, I
Mhm.
think all of you are going to be with me for Waking to Dream Life virtual in January. So know that the structure will be different. Of course, it's not going to be live in person, but what will be different that a live event doesn't provide because it's too short, right? Like a live event, you come for a couple of days, and then you have an amazing experience, and it can be very transformative but it's the accountability and consistency of keeping it up when you go back to your life. And so one of the things this virtual is going to offer is that accountability in a way that most people who are listening to the show have no idea. You guys all know because you've been with me in deeper programs. So you understand Marco Polo. We're going to be using an app called Marco Polo. It's a video app. And it's like leaving a voicemail or a group text. But what it does is keep you accountable to the things you say you're going to do. When you come to a live event and I have you in a room, I never tell you what you're doing. No, right? Like I never say, here's the itinerary, here's what you're doing. You just do it because, and sort of peer pressure helps you to stretch because everyone around you is doing it too. And you don't really like, we'll notice if you leave. We'll be like, where are you going? No, get back here. But when you do a virtual event, sometimes we can't keep that kind of accountability if you don't have something. So I've decided to add this really high value offer. Like Marco Polo is a lot of time. It really will be like we're taking a month together, everybody, in terms of using the information you're going to learn and putting it and implementing it into your life, implementing it into the day-to-day, implementing it into the thought process, into the awareness, not just a concept that you learn one time and then go back home and hope it sticks, but really like learning it in an environment where you're going to have to look at your life and your circumstances and put that in there. So that accountability piece is going to be really huge. And so you'll have the opportunity, Wendy, and we all will, to go back and reevaluate our characters and how much we've grown or changed since last year, and how much depending on what it is, what goals we want to achieve, which ones now need to be rebalanced or which ones now need a little bit more focus. And then hopefully now with a year into some of this practice, you guys, anyone coming to repeat, will have a much deeper experience because you already understand it. And now we can fine tune it and really focus on implementing it and showing up in it. And because again, like I said, when you come to a live event, you're out of your element, you're out of your life, you're in a new environment, you have no attachment to anything there. So it's really easy to sort of take things in. But then you go back to your routines and your habits and your circumstances. And then changing that sometimes can be hard because you have your routines and your habits and there's nobody there saying, hey, are you going to put that in there and do what you said you learned over there? Like no one else is doing that but you, or of course, if you have a significant other. So Patty and Ned, you guys got to support each other. And of course, Patrick, you came because of Caitlin. And so let's talk about your experience, Patrick, because you didn't know me very well. You had only been listening to a few podcasts and you kind of jumped in like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here.
Yeah, so I basically just came for moral support, if you will, for Caitlin. She's very introverted and she was very nervous about flying across the country from Florida. She knew that she knew a lot of you guys from your groups and meetings, but obviously meeting in person is different. When you know somebody's one way and then you meet them in person. And she just said, I'd like to go to this thing and, I'm just uncomfortable. Would you come with me? And she bombarded me with podcast after podcast of yours from Spirit, Purpose, Energy, and everything really, really talked to me and really spoke to me. And I just thought, yeah, okay, like what's the worst that can happen? Let's go check this thing out. Fully expecting like I was probably going to be the only guy there. And, I feel like I'm here today for, a little bit more for some male representation, which is important. Being in that event, I think there was maybe 4 or 5 of us men there out of 30-something, 40-something people. So that was cool to be there and have some other guys to talk to and to experience, making relationships with some people and doing some of the breakout groups and doing some of the one-on-one exercises that, like you said, none of us knew anything that we were going to be doing. So there's no preparation or being nervous about anything. It's just, hey, here's the script, or here's these questions, go do this. And I'm like, crap, can I do this with Caitlin? I want to do this with Caitlin. That's it. But it's like, okay, I got to go do this with people I've never met before, whether they're male, female, younger, older, it didn't matter. And to do some of those exercises and to get emotional and to feel stuff that I've been holding on to for so long. And here's this total complete stranger. Yes, we're on a, similar path because we're both, wanting to improve and get better. And I'm sharing this stuff and I'm just crying and bawling. And so on one hand, it's kind of like, well, yeah, that's in person. But from this whole event and then doing the deep dive event for 6 months and doing the Marco Polos, I got the same experience on doing the Marco Polos. I got the same experience doing the coaching sessions with you one-on-one. And then you had us like in our groups do one-on-one sessions with each other to keep accountability. And it was the same exact effect. It was the same thing, even though it's through, virtual, it was all the same aspect, it wasn't like a robotic, just going through the motions. So you can still get the same experience whether you're in person or not, which I felt was really cool. And I have experience doing this because of my profession with telemedicine. And that's why a lot of patients and people that I work with and that see me prefer to see me, because I am a lot more personable, even though it might be through virtual, I'm not very robotic. So they appreciate that. So what kind of it's hard to separate, right? Because of Awaken Your Dream Life event spawned this whole giant thing of you coming and telling me that you could help me. And I believed you. And I said, okay, let's do it. And then 2 months later, we started the deep dive group. So it's hard to kind of separate the two because I didn't have a whole lot of time in between to kind of like take it all in, because we immediately jumped in and started going with everything else. But it kind of validated for me that I take life too damn seriously. It's kind of my overall takeaway from the whole event was I take life too damn seriously. And I knew that. And so seeing what Wendy and everybody was saying, like the character, and being like, I need to be in this other character where I wear life a little looser. I play a little bit more, and because you had us do the whole prop thing and the hats and this and that, I have a superhero cape I keep in my car now that every once in a while I just put that thing on and I'm driving to work to go to the rehab to go see some patients. I'm like, yep, here comes the hero on the way. And I'm driving and I'm like, what the hell are people thinking if they could see me right now, right? I'm driving down the road wearing a cape, but like, whatever, I don't care. And it helps kind of loosen things up for me a little bit and kind of take things a little easier. So, so the character was important, but also it wasn't just like, oh, I need to be more playful. I also want and need to be a little more organized, a little better with time management, because I stress myself out so much trying to get everything done back to back to back. But this has just spawned so much stuff, and to the law of attraction, which is huge. And I'm listening and reading the Asking If It's Given book now. It's all just continuing all the work that you've provided for us and that we've done so far, that it's just perpetuating all this good stuff. And so, yeah, life is just freaking awesome now. It's just kick-ass. It's just all this badass stuff is happening. And I'm just sitting back and watching it happen. And I'm more aware of my thoughts. I went from when I met you at the event to very self-critical, self-loathing, woe is me. I'm crying in the event, holding the microphone, saying, I feel the love from Caitlin, but I feel like I can't give that back to her or anybody else. And ultimately, I don't love myself. And here I am, like, I've made these big changes in my life, and I'm still like in this stuck mode last year. And then the work with you helped kind of bring that out, and all these changes that I've made to, we can go on and on, right? We've talked about it in our podcast from the 6-month deep dive, so people can go back and listen to that. There's been tons of stuff that has happened in just a short amount of time. So yeah, it's definitely worth attending, and who knows where the hell it'll go from there for somebody if they're in that sad, dark place, or just kind of that stuck place where it's like, why isn't things getting any better? I know all this stuff, but why isn't it getting any better? And it's like you said, it was doing the exercises, taking the action. It's one thing to read a book and go, oh yeah, or listen to a podcast and go, oh yeah, that sounds good, that makes sense, and then go about my day. But doing the actual work solidifies all that stuff and just lets us keep going. So
The cape actually came in during the deep dive. So it wasn't, so imagine had we done Awaken Your Dream Life virtual for a month, that possibly could have come in because we would have had time. At a weekend with, a group of people, you don't have time individually to really get into what that person like needs or what would be really good for them. And your group really taught me, that 6-month deep dive really taught me what I needed to know to do the rewire. It's really fine-tuned sort of what we're doing now. And yeah, that, my intention is always to provide tools for people to use to help themselves. But just, we're human. And so we can't sometimes see what blocks us and what keeps us stuck. And we can't, again, there's that rational mind that says, I know this, but then there's but are you doing it? Like, I know it, but am I living it? And that to me is where, so the rubber meets the road for what I'm doing, like with programs. I mean, someone just asked me recently, hey, if you ever do like one-on-one again, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do one-on-one again. Like, it's small group programs because of what happens, and you've all been in them. So you understand that accountability, that showing up for that connecting with other people that are going through similar things and taking some kind of material. So for this would be Awaken Your Dream Life and these characters. It's really being able to point out, and again, within the daily life. So that cape idea came out of your daily life, changing how you drive around, changing how you, right? Like changing that point of view so that it could change your feelings and your behavior. And it created more neuroplasticity than just talking about it and then saying, see ya, okay, have a good time. So I think that the application of this new format for the month is going to be a lot more effective for people who just want to come to just the event. They just want to do the Awaken Your Dream Life event. And then, of course, see what happens after that. But it was what had opened you up to realizing. And I guess I want to speak to that for a second, because I want you all to hear that. So at the end of, and we talked about this in the 2-hour last meeting of the 6-month deep dive with Patrick and Cami and Danielle and Becky. Patrick had come in, like he said, with his girlfriend and was there a support and was having his own experiences, of course. And then by the end circle. Okay, we've been here now together. We've there 3 circles. It's been 2 days. And he's like, the biggest thing was my awareness of how much I do not love myself. And of course, I'm like, okay, this can't be the end of the story. This cannot be how we leave this. This is a good awareness, but this is not good. Like, we have to move that. So of course I had asked and invited Patrick I said, do you want help? I can help you. And he's like, I do. And so I offered him to join this 6-month deep dive, which is now the Rewire. Well, the first 3 months is called Rewiring Your Core Wound Patterns. And again, he could have said no. I wasn't trying to pressure him, but I want you to understand that you can change your whole life in a year. Patrick, has your whole life shifted? Like, what percentage would you give it in the last year?
I mean, if not 100%, pretty damn close. I mean, it's witnessed by everybody I come across.
Right. You can literally awaken your dream life is what I want you to hear this, everybody. Okay. If you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to come and take a good look in the mirror and then ask for support when you need it and get the tribe and the support that you need, you can make humongous changes. What I love about what happens, and it may happen during January's Awaken Your Dream Life, when you usually sign up for some kind of program with me, whether it be a month-long virtual program like we're going to do, or 3 or 6, like you send the message out to the universe that you're ready for change. And the universe goes, okay, great. I'm going to test you while you're on this journey. And then you get this test, right? And Patrick's test was he got an opportunity to go into the boxing ring to win a championship and a medal, right? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I had been training for a couple of years, just kind of casually, and my trainer said, "Hey, I think it's time. Let's do this." And again, Caitlin's been boxing longer than me, and I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so it was the Florida Golden Gloves for 40 and over, because I am 40 now. So it was down in Florida, Fort Lauderdale at the Hard Rock Casino, and I mean, never been so nervous in my entire life, even though I was trained, well prepared, and everything that we had been working through, all the Ho'opono prayers, the big leap, expand yourself. Everything was just like, hey, here we go. I'm going to be well protected. And I just want to get through this, get through the 3 rounds and say I was able to do it. Of course I want to win, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. It was a competition against myself, even though there was another person. And I won, I won all 3 rounds, unanimous decision. And the elation from that event was yeah, tremendous. And I never would have probably, I don't think I would have been able to do it otherwise if it hadn't been for the work that we've been doing, because I would have continued to sabotage myself and talk myself out of it and made myself sick or injured, or something would have happened that I would have upper limited and just prevented myself from following through, because I didn't want to do it prior to that.
Well, and you did it awesome, but you also understood what was happening when it was happening. Like literally right before the event, you were about ready to quit too. Like, oh, I'm out of here. Like, I can't, like right before, you're right at the finish line. You're right there. But you understood what was going on from the work that we were doing. And even though that didn't mean you still weren't going to feel the feelings, just because you understand something doesn't mean it's not challenging, doesn't mean it doesn't scare you, doesn't mean you don't go through it, but you saw it and go, okay, I expect this. I mean, we're going to talk to Vesta next, and she did the same thing when she did her summit. Like, she did all this work for 6 months to get the summit going. And then literally the day before, Zoom wouldn't work. And she was like, I'm going to quit. But she didn't, because she understood the concept of upper limiting and what was coming. And that this didn't mean, it wasn't a sign that meant it was wrong. It wasn't a sign that meant, I shouldn't be doing this. It was just where we start to really stretch into, again, that neuroplasticity into new brain patterns, because we are going against one of those characters who wants to protect us, and we're listening to the others, and we're transcending that, and we're transforming that. And then of course now, like, I think, haven't you done another one since?
Yeah, I had another match about a month ago, and same result, same thing. Yeah.
But were you as nervous the second time?
No, not as nervous. No, just kind of typical any competitive competition type of nerves. But I was like, been here before, done this. I know I'm going to be fine. I put it out into the universe. Doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be good.
Right. So again, you could recognize the growth from the first time you did it, which was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to die. I'm sick. You were sick. Right. I'm going to quit. And then now the next time you go through it, like the charge is reduced by 50% or more. Yes, general nerves. And so that's the kind of change that we're talking about. Not that everyone's going to get sick and, do that, but understanding that we have to sort of push through those habits and patterns that prevent us from growing. And sometimes it's kind of uncomfortable. So having a support, and again, so through Awaken Your Dream Life for that month, you're going to get that support. You're going to get that like group support of people who are cheering you on to do the hard thing that's literally going to change your freaking life. Because once you can pass through some of those really hard things, all of a sudden everything else shrinks. The perspective grows and you go, oh my gosh, well, everything else is not a big deal now. I know, Wendy, didn't you just jump out of a plane? Didn't you bungee jump? Or you bungee jumped?
I bungee jumped. Yeah.
And why did you bungee jump?
My son worked there and he'd been raving about it, saying, Mom, you got to come try it. And he says, if I book you, will you come? And it's like, yeah, I'll go. Because if he can do it, why can't I? Like, what difference is it? It's my son. It's like, really. And he works there. He does it every day. There's tons of people who do it. So why can't I? So I figured, why not? And yes, I have a fear of heights. Doesn't kill me. It doesn't, like, I can still go up a ladder and do certain things, but I was 200 meters above and looking down, kind of going, holy shit, what am I doing? But yeah.
And you felt like $1 million when you were done, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you can conquer the world because you overcame a fear.
Absolutely.
Right. That's what we're here to do, people. Conquer some fears and start living a life that looks a little bit different than yours now in the ways you want it to. No judgment. I'm here to say, if you want something more than you have currently, we can get you there. But if you're happy, then this isn't for you and you can move on. So Vesta, let's talk about your experience at Awaken Your Dream Life. It was your first JJ live event.
It was my first JJ live event. It was amazing. When you were talking about the shame, that hit the nail on the head for me. The biggest thing I think I got from Awaken Your Dream Life is, well, I'm super character one because it's control a little bit. And so I feel like if my life is in control, then I can be happier. And that's fine. And I still kind of feel that way, but I think I'm in character too. Less now for sure, because, well, I'm a parent. I'm a single parent. He's 20 now. But it's hard to not be in character too sometimes when you're a parent. But the shame in my head, not toward anyone else. Like I love everyone, and it's a thing that I do really well. I don't care who you are, who you love, what you do. I love you, period. Like that's how I am. But I don't do that internally. And the the live event showed me that it was okay, that sometimes it's okay to be in character too. It's okay to not like it. It showed me self-forgiveness. It showed me all the time. And I've done a lot of work with JJ in this last 2 years. So it's some of it gets jumbled up on where I learned what and how I'm progressing to the point where I'm at right now, because I've been working on myself for forever. But to the point where I almost worked on myself so much that it made me feel less worthy in my life, because it was a constant, like, you're not good enough yet. You need to work harder. You're not good enough. You need to work harder. But the live event, Awaken Your Dream Life, it just hearing other people, and then knowing it was okay. Where I am is perfect. Like, it doesn't, like, do I always want to work on myself? Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the best things in life, is you're always going to be better, and you're always opening yourself to more, and you just opening yourself to love, opening yourself to whatever life you want, really. But it took me, I don't know exactly where the switch happened, but it happened. And here I am living my best life, really. Like, I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. Inside, nothing has changed. I mean, I do get to travel for my job now, which is different than before, but it's still the same job. It's still doing the same stuff. It's the same kind of people. But I changed so much on the inside that I'm just happy. Just happy.
How can you top that? Happiest that I've ever been in my entire life. All right,
Yeah.
Who's ready for that? Let's do that. And it doesn't really matter what flips the switch, so to speak. It's like whatever the spark is, whatever gets you going. And I know for a lot of people, I hear it a lot that, oh, I wish I lived closer. Like, I can't come to a live event. And again, that's why I decided, all right, let's do Awaken Your Dream Life one more time, and let's do it virtual so that everybody anywhere can come. And because we'll be using things like a Marco Polo and Facebook and the thing, like, people doesn't matter where you are. So we're not making a phone call. Like, it doesn't matter what device you use. It makes it easy to connect and to stay accountable. I mean, one of the ladies in our mastermind lives in New Zealand, right? And she, this morning, Vesta's in the 2023 Inner Circle Mastermind, and she was talking about how, shout out to Ellie. Ellie was talking about how she has grown, how she's different in the same situation without even trying, because now she realizes she has a tribe of people, and she feels more confident about herself, her life, her accomplishments, what she's been able to do this year. And so the same situation of needing attention, wanting attention, feeling less than in other people is no longer at least the same intensity. It's not even detectable. So that felt really good. But it's, again, she's in New Zealand. But she feels as connected to the group via our Marco Polos than she does to half of her friends that live nearby, because we support her on a different level and to help her be her best self. And regardless of whatever program it is, we all do the same thing. So it doesn't matter what program you're in of mine, that's always the goal, to have the support to be your best self and use tools to get there, and using tools that will change you, basically. And that's the thing. You have to kind of be sick enough of being sick and tired to actually want to do this. And I believe a lot of you are, and this makes it a little easier for you to get there, because you don't have to get on a plane, and you don't have to get a hotel room, and you don't have to worry about time change necessarily. I mean, yes, if you're wanting to make the live group calls, but everything will be recorded. And I will tell you what I tell everybody in all the other groups, that while the live calls are good and important, there's always a replay. And honestly, the Marco Polos kind of end up being the most important thing, because they're the thing that gets you to admit to what's going on right now in your life, and to shift that, and to catch you in that moment, not after it's happened. It's like having a therapy session, one time, or a coaching session one time, and then a month later, and there's no contact in between. Well, okay, well, I hope you implemented what we talked about, and maybe, but that's not always the case. And so this is a really super high accountability situation. I don't know that I'll do it again. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited to try it. It really is offering a lot of value to everybody who's taking it for a fraction of what everybody pays for it currently, because it's a lot of time. It's a lot of touch time. It's a lot of access. But I also am very committed to everybody having real change. So I'm excited to try it. Are there any, I don't know, words for those who are listening something maybe you guys needed to hear, or something about this whole, awaken your dream life, whole brain living concept that, and it could even be about, something you're excited to continue working on in January also, because again, everybody thinks coming.
I will say something.
Please.
I'm excited that it's online because, well, since I came to Hawaii at the beginning of June, I have a hard time with all the time changes. I don't get the days off all the time. And so, but also since last year, I've thought about it a lot, and I want to go back to the book, but I don't have a lot of time. I just, whatever, I'm doing all the things outside and but I'm very excited that I will have it forever and I can go back. I'm doing the law of attraction course that I got from JJ. I'm on week 3 redoing it, and she tells you at the beginning of things that you're going to hear things differently the second time you do it. And when I hear that, I believe her, but I'm like, how different can it be? I actually questioned it the first time, because you were talking about doing something and you were like, I do it every year and it's different. I'm like, how can it be different every year? Now I'm doing the law of attraction course for the second time, and I hear all these things completely different. I was like, oh, and it's, it's a testament to how different I am also. So I can go back. I'm excited because I'll be able to go back and listen to it however many times I want and be like, okay, maybe I need to work on this, or maybe I don't, or maybe like, oh, that's good enough, so whatever.
That's awesome. I love that you're listening to doing the law of attraction course again. Well, it's frequency, right? When we only have the capacity, our brains only have, the average, I think, is less than 10% of things that we retain from when we go someplace and we learn something. Some people have higher retention than others, but let's say 10 to 15% might be average. So if you're only getting 10 to 15% of whatever class you're taking, then you're only getting 10 to 15%, and you're only getting the things that are in alignment with what you need right now. It's like, here's my issue, and I'm looking for relief and answers on this one issue. And so I'm listening for what's going to help me with this one issue. So I'm not really absorbing any of the other things. So once you kind of go through that and then put that down, and again, you revisit it. I mean, there's an Abraham I listened to it because I didn't get it. I mean, it took me maybe 2 years. I listened to that at least 100 times because I didn't get it, until finally I got it. And I was like, oh my God, I get it. But it was so confusing for me for the longest time, but I had to get to a different frequency in my own life to receive the information, to really be able to understand it. I used to skip through it sometimes. So I'm like, I just don't understand. I just don't get it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I get all of Abraham. No, this one I did not get, but I got it now. And I feel $1 million after I got it. So I think that's a great point, Vesta, that when you do have access to something, you can do it every year as a refresher and see and just to check yourself. Right. So great. I'm glad you're excited to do it and get that done. Anyone else have anything they want to add?
I would say along the same lines, like going to your first live event, going to the second live event, and thinking, okay, I could use a little bit more of this, but it's not more of that. It's always new. So I'm not thinking, oh, I already did this, so I don't really need to go to, the virtual one. I'm thinking, yay, I can't wait to see what else I learn and what else I pick up. And that's the cool things about, all of your programs. And the people, while it's great to meet them at the live events, it's also great, the Marco Polos that we have that keep going, to stay connected to these people that you didn't really have to meet. Like when Wendy and I didn't know each other until we finally went to something that was live, we still knew each other and we still interacted, and I considered her a friend. Like you meet these people and it's virtual, but you feel really close to them. And like, they're some of your really good friends and you can confide in them, and they're on the same path. They're on the same wavelength. You can talk about things openly. So it's really a bonus.
It's so interesting. I've been saying, and I don't know how much I've been saying it publicly versus in the mastermind or in groups, that I've always felt like the benefit of having this podcast and sort of putting myself out there is attracting people like you guys and everyone who's listening. And so when you step forward and you're ready to do something, and then you show up in a room together, you've all shown up in a room together, and there's sort of an instant synergy. There's an instant like, oh, we all speak similar languages. Oh, you're not going to judge me. You and I talk, if you're connected to her, there's a lot of things that I already kind of could know some subjects that it takes it away. And I've been testing out my wisdom, wellness, and wine circles here in Ojai with people I don't know. It's amazing because I had this first one. It was a new moon in Virgo, and I I don't know what I thought was going to happen. Only one person in the room knew me. Well, two people knew me, the person who hosted it, but one person knew me, but she doesn't really listen to the podcast that much, I think. She's known me for a long time as a trainer. So like we're going back, but I mean, she's a talker, but but the room itself felt very like tight, right? They're tight and they weren't, because they don't know each other, right? They don't know each other and they don't know me. So there's like a zero connection. When you guys come into a room or in a group, you don't know each other either, but you know me, there's some kind of commonality. And so it was really interesting to watch sort of, and I treaded lightly and I knew, like how much people were going to share it. Everyone's on the verge. Like some people were like, oh, I can't say it, I'm going to cry. I'm thinking, well, that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. but because there wasn't a trust in me, they didn't do that. And so I think one of the great, if you have an experience being a part of my community in any way, and again, you've been listening to the show for any length of time and you don't have these kinds of friends in your life that you can talk about all of these different woo-woo subjects about, from health to spirituality, you will make instant friends. You will bond. Patrick, your sister did the Rewire group and, she's made some really close friends in that group. I mean, they super bonded and they've never met in person, right? But they're super bonded because of the kind of work we're doing. And I think that I'd invite you to, because this is going to be a really interesting delivery of this event. I've never done a live event. I've never done a virtual event or class that has a Marco Polo attached, that has a weekend, kind of almost like a half a day. It's and like all of the different support tools. Normally like a live class is 4 weeks long. It's an hour and a half each week and that's it. And there's nothing in between except a Facebook group potentially. And that's it. And it's a little disconnected. And I really want to connect people in a different way. So please consider coming. Wendy, were you going to say something?
Just, I want to echo what everybody said. Having gone to the first event during COVID time was super trying, coming from Canada to the US. But there's nothing that was going to hold me back from going to that event. And then when the second event rolled around, it's like, I didn't think I'd learn anything, but holy cow, I came out of it like just so more aware of myself. And I could tell I had changed from the year before. Yet last year was just super intriguing because I had already gone through something in the summertime that kind of spilled over and it kind of worked some things through. Yet I still know there's work. And then I took a year hiatus, well, almost a year hiatus from you. And it's like, I really miss the community and I will be back in the community next year because I really have truly missed the community and everybody in there. Like that's you can't get that anywhere else, honestly. I haven't found it anywhere else. And the way that you stretch, JJ, you stretch people. Oh, wow. I've gone back and listened to some of my recordings from my coaching sessions. It's like, man, girl, I still got some work to do, but I know what I need to do. So yes, I go back and I re-listen and I'm grateful that I have them for that. So having access to, your live virtual event is going to be even more pivotal for me as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. And it's going to be a different format. I'm going to have two kind of lines for those of you that have done it before. I'm going to, like, I even thought of after the event or during the event, other questions. So here's one for you. Like, let's look at the characters in the bedroom. Let's look at the characters as parents, like so stuff that wasn't really talked about because we were just sort of like, it was the overview of which character am I more than not. And then how do I kind of adjust that? It was, I'm just sort of learning it. But then the first time you learn it, like it's a lot of information and now you kind of know the information a little bit better. So now you can take the information, we can dive a little more deeply into the awareness of how we're embodying those characters and other nuances that probably didn't get picked up because again, it was just the newness of the stuff. So now that's in your brains. I'm looking forward to taking, even for myself, because yeah, I mean, I think our desires of change, and of course, then having the courage to step up and do it while they're different, it's always great to hear and to see someone in the Empower You group. I'll give another shout out to Karen. Karen was, she was the case study for the last year's Empowerment Strategist group. And she is a Rampage partner with Vesta. And she had been offered both the 3-month beta that I did last year and was like, oh, I can't do that. It was invited to come to Awaken Your Dream Life. And she's like, oh, I can't do that. And then the beta for the Rewire came and went. And then I got an application from her, maybe, I don't know, like right before I was doing this next one. And of course it's more money, and she knew that was going to be the case, but it was the right time. And one of the things that she said to me was the reason why she signed up now was because she's gotten so much value out of being just in the podcast community alone, as well as the membership, that she is much happier. Her life looks better. She has a more positive outlook. She's taking better care of herself. She's more confident, but she needs more. And she was ready. And she was really super impressed with the growth that she's seen in everybody else, especially Vesta, because she sees Vesta every day. So it's looking at, like, you guys get to be, it's not just you guys get to be that representative to the people, right? Patrick, people tell you all the time, I'm sure, like, you look different. You looked different. So Patrick back a year ago has this beard. So if you see any pictures of him, he had this long beard that he had for a while, and no judgment or good nor bad about the beard. But at some point he said, I think I'm going to shave my beard. But even before you shaved your beard, you looked different. Like, there was a moment in time, because of your energy, you went from, again, a self-loathing kind of really, really beating yourself up all the time, that really sort of energetically sort of pulled you in. And being that one of your love languages is words of affirmation, and you were saying negative things to yourself, like when that got shifted, like you are beaming bright, like your energy was so big. And then the minute you shaved your beard, just like, you are like a whole new person. Like, you literally look different in every way, right? You feel different. And it's not just because you've gotten to know people, it's because your energy on the inside, your outlook, the fact that you love yourself now, that you believe in yourself, that you know you can do it, that your confidence level. I mean, everyone's confidence. Patty, when you first had that mic in your hand, due to this podcast, you were shaking like a leaf, right? Now you're a pro. Same thing with you, Wendy, right? Like, you all have grown because you keep stepping up and you keep stepping out. And even though it's scary the first time and it's uncomfortable, that's what growth is. That's what, you have to do the little things, take those steps in order to keep growing your brain so it can go, oh no, I can do this. And one of those characters can just be quiet because you're not going to die. Like, you're going to be fine. And you just go, no, I'm going to listen to the other 3 characters that have my back for that growth. And I'm going to tell the other character, like, you're just okay. Yes. Thank you so much for protecting me, but I don't need you right now. I will be fine. And I think all of your growth has really just inspired so many people. And I thank you for being brave enough, courageous enough, loving yourself enough, and trusting me enough to be on this journey with me. So, again, I'll just open up one last time. If anybody has any last things to say, what would be something that if someone's, because I know there's a lot of people listening to the show that haven't done anything, and that's fine. Again, I may not be that person for you. In fact, one of the people in the new Rewire group said to me the other day, and I just want to share this because I want everyone to hear, I want you to hear me say this, because you may not think this is a stretch for me. I haven't wanted to, because of this lovely way that I manifest you beautiful people into my life is through this podcast. When I don't do it that way, like here locally, like, right, people looking at me like, I don't like, she's a little bit weird, she's talking about the moon, I don't know, like it's not as safe, I guess, right? Because there's no connection, but when I went to Bruce Lipton's event in Arizona, and he was talking about epigenetics and offering offering the what, but not the how. Here's what it is. Here's what it is. We're all understanding epigenetics and how the brain creates your biology. But there was never in the course, except muscle testing one time, there's never a, how do you do that? Well, how do we change this? And I'm sitting there like wanting to tell, and now other people in the room were healers also. A lot of people in the room were healers and medicine people and people who want to take this information and help other people. But I really thought there's a lot of people who need what I have. Not everybody wants what I have, but some people do, but they just don't know me yet. And so I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to do some ads. Okay. It's very expensive. And the way that I do them, there's no necessarily way to make your money back right away. A lot of people have to do ads and they see a return right away and it makes sense to keep doing it. I want to build a relationship. I'm thinking more long-term. So I thought, okay, I'll spend these thousands of dollars to do a couple months of ads because I'm feeling very strongly that I know there are people looking for what I do specifically. So what happened in the Rewire group this time, one of the members, she's new to me. She found me on a podcast. She doesn't even know how. And she said to me last week, I'm so thankful that I found you. I have been looking for you for so long and I didn't know where you were. I was getting really discouraged thinking that I couldn't find what I was looking for someone to help me with this problem. It wasn't really feeling right with other podcasts that I was listening to. And I was something about you what you said. And I knew you were the person to help me. Just takes one person. And it's not always going to be me for all of you. And I get that. And that's fine. But if it is me, I know some of you who do listen to the show and you do want more. So please, I beg of you, this is going to be a great experiment and opportunity in a new way to do a virtually live event. So if being on a plane or time zones has ever challenged you before, I really strongly encourage you to consider doing this. It's going to be, and again, the price, let me tell you, is right, because you're getting really high touch for pennies on the dollar. And I think it's going to be transformative. So I appreciate all of you for coming to share your experience at Awaken Your Dream Life last year. I'm looking forward to continuing the work. And for those of you that might be new to the show, or maybe let me just say this in case it needs to be said, when we're talking about working on ourselves, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you the way you are right now. It just means that you want things more than you have, whether you want more money, you're not healthy, or you're struggling with a health issue and you haven't been able to figure that out yet. You want more love and connection. You want to just feel happier, whatever the case may be. If there's something that you want that you don't have, yeah, growing yourself is kind of what we do. And it doesn't mean you're bad or wrong or, anything non-deserving. It just means that you haven't found the right path yet. So invite you to really consider doing this with us. Thank you guys so much. Before we close out though, I do want to, in case you have connected with anyone here, I want to make sure that you can reach them. So starting back with Wendy, why don't you go, guys, give anybody your website if you have it, or your Instagram handle, and maybe talk a little bit about how you help people in case they're more connected to you.
Okay, for myself, being an unconscious mind coach, I help people get out of their head, to reframe their life, to just find what it is that's truly bothering them. And basically, I did take JJ's Empowerment Strategist course as well, and have her tools, which marry very well with a lot of the trainings that I've had outside of her. And I'm looking towards putting another workshop out in November. And I don't have a website yet. I do have my Facebook page, and it's Wendy Patterson Wellness. And I'm on Instagram at, I think it's WB Patters 9819. And yeah, I do have my Facebook page, usually has anything that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of months. So
great. And that link will be in the show notes for that. Patty?
I have a Instagram page, and it's Coach You Up, or you can email me at patty@theupcoach.com. And I have been helping people step out of fear and step into what they really want to do in life. And I have a couple recent successes with those people I've worked with. So it's been really nice to watch. And I am slow moving, but I am ready to take anyone on who's ready to find a change and feels that connection to me.
Excellent. So we'll put her Instagram link in the show notes as well. Patrick?
Yeah, this is exciting. I've never given out my Instagram at a worldwide level before. So it's at PKC Primary Care. That's PCASEY, and then Primary Care on Instagram. And if nothing else, if you just want to come, if you're curious and you're hearing all this beard talk, if you just want to come see the before and after, because my profile picture is this big gnarly beard. And then if you click through the links, you can see, actually, I think there's a photo of us on our 6-month deep dive. There's some boxing photos and some other type of photos on there if you want to check that out. And eventually I will be leaning or moving more towards doing coaching, which will be cool, because unlike doing the primary care nurse practitioner stuff, I'm confined to only treating people in Florida. This way I'll be able to help any of you and everybody, no matter where you live. So I'm looking forward to doing that and making that transition at some point soon. So be on the lookout for more. Thanks.
Vesta?
I am a coach, so you can look me up at Vitality with Vesta. That's my Instagram, and my vitalitywithvesta.com. I help people because for a long time, I had my self-worth was very low, and sometimes I still struggle, but I will help people find their self-worth, find their inner power. And, because I think sometimes we lose ourselves with day-to-day life, and I help people find out their direction a little bit better.
And to give you another brand name for Vesta, she's got a summit called The Power of Choosing You. So she can help you lean into your power to choose you.
Yeah, the summit was really cool, and it's still available if you want to do it. But if you want to see an evolution of somebody in front of the mic, watch the whole thing, because at the beginning I was like super scared and like, oh my God. And like I actually have been rewatching it just whatever. And I like teared up the first listening just to my, because at the beginning I talk, and I like teared up myself just rewatching it because I could feel my fear. And then if you go through it, like by the time JJ's last, I interview JJ, and I'm like, you can almost feel me being relaxed compared to before. So it's pretty awesome.
You can watch
You can watch.
neuroplasticity
Yes.
happening
True.
in action. You can watch it from the beginning until the end, how her brain expanded, okay, because she was relaxed. So it was awesome. So all these links will be in the show notes. And please visit jjflizanes.com/dreamlife. We would love to see you there, and we'd love to support you. So thank you, everybody.